Hello students, in today's session, we are going to study our history, chapter number 10, buildings, paintings and books. So class, the aims and the objectives of this chapter are metallurgy, iron pillar. We will be studying about the different buildings like the stupas and the temples, paintings, books and the epics, and will be known about the Aryabhat. So let's start with our first topic, that is metallurgy. So it means the scientific study of the structures and uses of the metals. Let's talk and know about Indian metallurgy. In ancient time, Indian metallurgists were very capable and advanced, means there were people who were specialized in metallurgy and they also made a major contribution in this field. Indians were very advanced. The archaeologist excavation have revealed that the Harappans, they were the master craftsmen, means the people of Harappan civilization, they also have the knowledge of copper metallurgy. So the uses of copper structure, they knew all these very well, and even they have discovered bronze by mixing copper and silver. As Harappan know about bronze, that is why Harappans belong to the Bronze Age. Their successors, they came in the Iron Age, and India has produced highly advanced type of irons. Forged iron, which is carved out of a solid piece of metal, wrought iron, and this type of iron alloy that has been heated and then worked with tools, cast iron. It is made by pouring hot metal into a mold. They were all produced in the ancient India also. So let us talk about the iron pillar, which is in Delhi. So class, why this pillar is very important? Because it shows that at that time, Indian craftsmen, they were very skilled. Features of the iron pillar is that it is 7.2 meters in height and made of iron, and the weight is more than 3 tons. And there was an inscription on that which tells us that this pillar was made about 1500 years ago, and it was made by a ruler which named Chandragupta, who belonged to the Gupta dynasty. And the most amazing fact was that the pillar has not rusted in all these years. Now we move on to the next topic, that is buildings. Under this topic, we will study about two types of buildings. First is the stupa and the second one is the temples. So let us start with the stupa. The skills of our craft person is also seen in the buildings, also which have survived like stupa. The word stupa means mound, and the word mound means a large pile or a small hill or a raised area of the earth. And there were many kinds of stupas, but they all have some common features. So the first common feature was relic casket. There is a small box which is placed at the center or the heart of the stupa. This box may contain bodily, which contains the teeth, the bones, and the ashes. They are of Buddha and of his followers, or the things used by them, and there were some precious stones and coins in that also. This box was covered first with the earth and then a thin layer of mud brick or baked brick which was added on the top. Even the dome-shaped structure of stupas was sometimes covered with carved stone slabs. So this relic casket was very beautiful, and they have the religious importance also. That is why it was kept in the center. Second feature was Path Krishna path. So in the most stupas, there is also a path laid among the stupa. It is called Path Krishna path. The feature of Path Krishna path was it was surrounded with the railing. Entrance to the path was through gateways. Both the railings and the gateways, they were decorated with the sculptures. The devotees walked around the stupa in a clockwise direction as the mark of their devotion. Now let us talk about the stupas, which is very much famous at Amarvati. It is in Andhra Pradesh. So this was a place where a magnificent stupas once existed. Many of the stone carving were decorating the stupa made about 2000 years ago. Second stupa, which is also very famous, is the Great Sanchi Stupa, and it is in Madhya Pradesh. So the Sanchi Stupa, they were built over several centuries. The bricks mount dates to the time of Ashoka. The railings and the gateway, they were added during the time of later ruler. So next we will understand about the temples. So many of the Hindu temples, they were also built around this time. At that time, people were worshipped all the deities such as Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Goddess Durga. Let us discuss some features of the temple, that is Garbhagriha, Shikhara, and the Mandap. So the Garbhagriha is the most important part of the temple. It was a room where the images of the chief deities was placed. In the Garbhagriha, the priests performed religious and the devotees offered worship to the deity. Shikhara is a tower which is known as Shikhara, was built on the top of the Garbhagriha. This was built to mark that it is a scared place. Mandap. Most temples, they had a place which is known as the Mandap. It was a hall where people could assemble. So you must have seen all these features in the maximum temples. So now let us move to the constructions of the temples. So basically there were three types of constructions at that time. First is the rock construction. Sometimes sometimes the temples and other buildings, they were hollowed out of rocks to make artificial caves. Baked bricks and the stone is the second feature. Sometimes temples and they were made of baked bricks and the stones. The third one is the monolithic temples. Such temples are carved out of a huge single piece of stone. That is why they are known as the monolithic temples. Now let us discuss how was the stupa temples built. Let us understand with the help of a flow chart. So there were several stages in the building of a stupa or a temple. They were usually built by the kings or the queens. First, the good quality of stones, they are going to be found. And then that stones, they were placed carefully, chosen to the build of the temples or the stupas. The stone was quarried and transported to the place. Then these rough blocks of stones have to be shaped. Pillars, wall panels, floors, and ceilings, they were shaped from this stone. Then these had to be placed precisely at the right positions. As we have already discussed about the skills of the workers, so the craftsmen of that time, they were made very beautiful buildings, and even they were very good in the metallurgist also. But their skills you can see in the paintings also. An example for that is Ajanta caves. These are not natural caves. They have been carved out from the hills, which means that they are man-made caves. And for the buildings, these caves, it will take many centuries, more than 100 years to form these caves. And these caves were monasteries for Buddhist monks, and some caves were decorated with the paintings which were known as the Ajanta paintings. Class, can you imagine how these paintings were made in a caves? As in the caves, there were darkness. So these paintings, they were made using the light of the torch or the fire. And the color of the paintings, they were made from the plants and minerals. And they were also still vivid and brightened even today after 1500 years. Now, let us study about our last topic, which is books. In this topic, we will study about the epics, stories told by the ordinary people, and the books on the science. So some of the best epics were written during this period. So let us see first what is epic. An epic is a grand, long composition about a heroic man and a woman, and stories about the gods. Many beautiful compositions were lost to the scholars for many centuries. A lot of these manuscripts were rediscovered about 100 years ago. And there were two extremely famous Sanskrit epics which is very much popular for a very long time, that is the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Now, let us read some stories by the ordinary people. The ordinary people, they make their own stories, compose songs and poems, and they sang, do dance, and even they performed plays also. Some of these were made into the collection of stories, and books were made of them, like the Jatkas and the Panchtantra. They were also written down around this time, the stories of the Jatkas, and they were often showed on the railing of the stupas, in the paintings, and in the palaces such as the Ajanta. Now we come to the science. Aryabhat was a mathematician and astronomer, and he wrote a book in Sanskrit known as the Aryabhatian. He was very famous and he contributed a lot. He stated that even though it seems to us that the sun is rising and setting, but in reality, day and night, they are being caused by the rotation of the earth on its axis. He also developed a scientific explanation for the eclipses. He found a way of calculating the circumference of circle, which is almost as accurate as the formula used today. So there were other mathematicians and astronomers. They were there in India. First is the Varhamit Mira, second Brahmgupta and Brahmgupta. The third one is the Bhaskaracharya. They also made an amazing discoveries. So students, this is all about this chapter. Now, let us look some few questions. Question number 1, why was Amravati famous? Question number 2, where is Sanchi Stupa situated? Question number 3, who were the deities worshipped during the period? Question number 4, what is the most amazing feature of Iron Pillar? Question number 5, what are the main features of Ajanta paintings? Question number 6, write a short note on Stupa. So students, you all are requested to solve all these questions with the help of reading this chapter. Thank you.